Welcome back if you're returning. Does anyone else enjoy thrifting for fabrics? I have been collecting fabrics since I was a teenager. I love not just bolts of fabric, but I like aprons and sheets and shower curtains and anything that has a really cool print on it. I've been collecting it, and as I'm going through things, I'm finding some really nice fabrics that I'm going to show you that you can use anywhere in the home. We're going to start with a chair makeover. Now, you may remember this chair. I made it over about 2 years ago. This was a very cheap chair. I can't remember if it was $5 or $10, but it was in decent shape. It just needed to be recovered. This is the bolt of fabric that I found for 75 cents in my stash. Now, it has got a really nice pattern through it. It's very reminiscent of my chinoiserie curtains. So I wanted to use that to recover the chair. So the problem with this chair was I don't like the toile, the blue toile. I don't mind the trim, I love the velvet, but I don't like the blue toile. So I've never really been satisfied with it. So what I'm going to do, I've got enough fabric to put a cover on the chair and to do the front panel of the backrest. The fabric that I've got is not a very large piece, it's long, so I can get 2 repeats out of it if I join it up. I'll show you what I'm doing in a moment, so that I can get this central part of the pattern, like the line that you can see. I want that to run down the middle of the back piece and down the middle of the chair piece that you're sitting on. So what I have to do is join up the fabric at each end. It's called booking, and what you do is you're joining these together at the seam, and then I'm going to cut it so that I've got my continuous line down the front of the chair, and then the side pieces will have the joins, so you won't even notice them. So this is what you do. You take the seams and you join them together where the pattern would naturally, it's like almost matching wallpaper if you think of it like that. So what you have to do is line it up to where the fabric would automatically match, and then you pin it into place and stitch it, and that's what I've done. Once this is pinned, I'll stitch along the seam, and then I will lay the fabric on the chair and cut it so that I have a panel that runs down the back with the line down the middle, as I've done here, and a panel for the front that has a line that runs down the middle of the seat, as I've done here. And as you can see, I've pinned it into place here to hold it, and you can see the seam that I've just sewn is along the side. So I have enough material that it will fit and wrap around. This way you don't have the seam showing all the way down the center of the chair. So what I've done is I've pinned the fabric into place. Now normally I would glue it and then staple it. That's what I'm doing here. The back of the seat I do not have enough material to cover. So what I'm doing is I've pinned it into place. I'm going to cut the piece that's hanging part the way down the back. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to glue it, staple it, and then I'm going to add a piece of green velvet that matches the leaf, and I'm going to add that onto the back. And then once I'm done, I will just glue that into place and cover it with a piece of trim. I know I've got enough fabric now to fit where I need to. I've cut the piece of green velvet for the back, grabbed this trim. I'm using a bigger trim underneath, and then putting a little piece of, it's like a lemony colour with white. I've used this before, just to finish the whole thing off. The next step is to grab the glue gun and glue all of the fabric into place. Once that's done, I will go over and just put a few staples in here and there just to keep it nice and secure. Now this is for my home use, so I'm not worried that it's not perfect, that I've, don't really have enough fabric. I don't mind that I've got the green velvet. I really like to see a contrast in a mixed material, so it doesn't bother me in the least that I haven't got enough fabric to finish it all. I always find that even when you go to these upholstery shops, you do find these types of chairs where they've got mixed fabric, so whether it's because they want to do it deliberately or they've run out of fabric, nobody knows. But once this is all glued into place and stapled, this is when I go over again with my glue gun and glue down all of the extra trim, and once that's done, the chair's ready. This is a little chest that I've had in my stash for ages, and I wasn't sure what to do with it, and then I realised I could probably, it's like a tin or copper underneath, and then there's like a veneer that's been laid over with little shapes cut out of it. I think this was, because it's got a liner in it, I think it probably was a plant holder at some point. So what I've done is I've scored the veneer, and then I've slipped a knife underneath, and it came off really, really easily. So I've done this all over the top of the little chest, and then the little metal pieces are just like stickers almost, so I've peeled those off as well. I've given it a very light sand, and then I'm going to paint it all white, and I'm going to add some of my beautiful French toile fabric that I've got left over from when I did one of my bedroom makeovers. So I've got trying to use up lots of my old fabrics and pieces that I've had sitting around not doing anything. So I've taken off the hardware, and I'm going to sand the top of this slightly and then paint it all in white chalk paint. To give this a French country look, that's why I'm covering everything in the white chalk paint. I'm going to go over back afterwards with a cotton bud or a cloth with some nail varnish remover, and I'm going to cover up I'm going to remove the paint off the hinges and some of the metal pieces, just give it a distressed look. Once the paint is dry, I'm going to cover it with a layer of Mod Podge. And then I've got, as you can see, a really nice piece of blue and white toile material that I'm going to lay on top of this and cut it into shape. I'm going to also put it on both sides, and then once it's dry I will give it another coat of the Mod Podge just to seal it in and to make it a bit more durable. And then afterwards I'm going to just rub over a few places with a piece of paper towel with nail polish remover, and again it will bring back some of the copper pieces and give it more of a distressed look. Once that's all done, I will reattach all the hardware and I will have my French country chest. This next item is a mirror that I've had for many years. I think it came from Winners originally. It's been white, it's been black, it's been silver, it's been this coppery colour. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cover it with a William Morris dress. Yep, you heard it here first. So what I've got is I've got an old dress that's in a William Morris print, and I've used this piece of this dress before on a table in the hallway. So what I want to do is cut this material into strips and literally just decoupage it onto the mirror. Now, I've never done it, I've done it on flat surfaces before, but never with quite so many details and quite so many curves. So we're going to see how this goes. So what I've done is I started out here with just a piece of long fabric and some Mod Podge. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a layer of Mod Podge on the mirror first of all to give the material something to sort of stick it to, and then I'm going to go back over it with another layer of Mod Podge and hopefully mold the material into all the little nooks and crannies. This is, like I said, this is a first for me with something quite so detailed, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So I've got the first piece stuck down, and as you can see now, I'm going over it with another layer of the Mod Podge, and I'm working it into all the little folds and crevices of the mirror. Now this took a little bit longer than anticipated, because you really just have to keep going back over it and working it into the areas of the mirror that I want to cover, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So again, it was just a matter of cutting the material into the size of the frame that I wanted to use, and then putting a layer of Mod Podge beneath the material and another layer of Mod Podge on top. Well, after a little while, it certainly was stuck to the mirror. What I had to do was, in certain areas, I had to go in with the scissors and slit it, slit the material so that it fit around the curves. And then once it was mostly dry, I go back in with my scissors and just cut all the material that's covering the glass, you know, anything that's not stuck to the frame I cut off. And what I am left with is a William Morris mirror that I am really quite pleased with.